I've been pretty open on YouTube about my struggles with making friends and my battle with social anxiety, and I get comments on those videos every single week. I read each and every story of someone battling with loneliness, or feeling like no one understands them, that they don't belong, and that they just have no one. They can't understand why their friendships have failed or why they can't make new friends. They blame themselves. And that was me at one point. Friendships were such a dreaded thought. I was even reluctant to get married because I didn't want to face the fact that I would have no bridesmaids or a hen do. It's something that I saw on social media all of the time, and I felt so inadequate at the idea of not being able to do it. I had a fear of missing out, and I was ashamed. I didn't want anyone to know that I didn't have any girlfriends. And in the end, I did get married, but no, I didn't have any bridesmaids or a hen do. But this isn't a sob story, because things have changed. I never expected them to, and the funny thing is, I wasn't even trying to change them. I don't want this to be a display of my friendships to make anyone else feel bad, because often that's what happens with social media. We see people on the internet and we wish we had lives like theirs. We think their life looks perfect and that they have everything that we don't. For the lonely people of this world, it means that you feel like you're the only one who's alone. But I understand more and more how everything is not what it seems on the surface. For one, the 4 of us on this trip have only met in person 3 times, this Milan trip being our 3rd, but you wouldn't know that by looking at us. But more importantly, I actually opened up to my friends on this trip about the fact that it was my first girls' holiday and my feelings of loneliness. And even though these are the types of girls who I used to look at thinking that they had loads of friends, it turns out I wasn't alone. Meet Tanvi. She's a social butterfly, an influencer, and a complete busybody. She always has plans and she's always surrounded by lots of people.
I think making friendships and how easy/difficult you find it, a lot of it depends on how happy and certain you are in yourself.
Yeah. Would you rather have no friends or like bad friends? Friends that aren't like the right people for you?
Well, I think growing up, a lot of us probably felt the pressure of feeling like we had to look like we had friends, we had to feel like we had friends, because you don't want to be like the one left out and with you. So you would just have friends for the sake of having friends, whether you got on with them, whether you like them or not.
Meet Pooja. On the outside, she's the complete opposite to me. She's 5'9" whilst I'm 5'2", and she's always the most bold and confident person in the room. She's never afraid to speak her mind.
It's okay to go through a period of time where you don't feel like you have like many friends or many solid friends, because that period of time is a gift. Like, you work on you in that time. You work on who you really are, because if you don't know who you are, all you're going to do is try and people please.
And attract the wrong people.
And so you won't be a good friend to others.
You wouldn't, exactly.
Pooja and Tanvi are extroverts, and for some reason, I thought that this meant that they would have never experienced problems with making friends like I have.
I also think I would say you two are more introverted. Us two are maybe a bit.
Do you think that makes a difference? Because I get comments on my videos all the time saying like, how do I make friends because I'm so introverted, I'm so shy? Like, you just associate it with being difficult.
I genuinely think both parties find it the same level of difficulty to make a genuine friendship. I find it very easy to make friends, left, right and centre, but the fact that I don't probably consider 80% of them real friends. Like, it's the genuine friendship that I think you would probably struggle with just as much as we would.
True.
And then there's Dev, who is probably the most similar to me. She's an INFJ and a YouTuber, but she's a cool, quirky type who seems really comfortable with who she is.
My exact problem is that if you heard of the cup analogy, where like your cup is like tall and wide, whereas other people's cups are like short and like narrow. So your version of a full cup is like all this effort and all this like really nice like friendship stuff, but someone else's version of a full cup is like bare minimum. So this is why all these friendships have fizzled.
So how do you know if you've got like the right people, like the right friends around you? Like, how do you know?
What I said today, for me the one thing now is that I don't have to like beat anyone else
but yourself.
That makes
me
feel
that
so warm.
Like from hanging out with you, because like, and that's another thing I learned from like internet people. When you come home and you feel drained, it's because you've been trying to be someone else.
I'm slowly realising that no matter who you are, no matter what your life looks like on the outside, Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, a social butterfly or homebody, everyone experiences some level of loneliness. Everyone has experienced friendship breakups, and everyone has questioned whether they belong at one point or another. I always had an idea of what friendship should look like. When I was younger, it was that I should have lots of friends. As I grew older, all I wanted was one best friend that I could lean on. And eventually I gave up altogether. I just wanted to focus on myself. So, what's changed? Am I suddenly able to make friends now? I guess the only thing that has really changed is that I've stopped trying so hard. I no longer put pressure on myself to be liked, and I've stopped putting pressure on any encounter where I could potentially make a friend. I've let go of all expectations. I can't tell you when or how people will appear in your life, but I have learnt a few things. So I thought that I had no friends because I was just bad at making them. I never stopped to think that maybe I wasn't socialising with the right people or going to the right places. So for example, at university, I thought my friends had to be people who went clubbing all of the time because that was the thing that you did back then. But I'm a complete homebody. It was very unlikely that my friends would be people who wanted to go out all of the time. For us to make friends naturally, we have to go to places that feel natural to us. We have to go to places that make us feel happy and excited. But more importantly, we have to go to places that make us feel like we can be ourselves. And for me, this ended up being the internet. Once I pushed past that fear of putting myself out there, I found that creating online became my safe space, and it became a place where I could actually really be myself. And so every single friend that I have in my life right now is actually somebody that I've met online. I told myself I couldn't make friends because I was an introvert. I told myself I couldn't make friends because I had social anxiety. I told myself that nobody would want to be friends with me because I'm too boring. And I often resorted to throwing myself into work and my career to hide how I was feeling. These were my typical thought patterns and behaviours. But the thing is, they really held me back. They stopped me from being open to other possibilities. So it meant that even if I did meet someone, in my mind, I had already made up the fact that it wouldn't go well. And that really held me back. This is such a hard one, and I still struggle with this. Even before this trip, I was overthinking everything. So I definitely do get it, but I just think it's really hard to make friends when you are overthinking because you're no longer treating things at face value, you're creating problems in your head that might not exist. And if you can't help but overthink, then maybe you do need to be on your own. Maybe you just need to figure yourself out. You need to build your confidence, because when you're constantly worrying about what other people think, in reality, what you're really doing is just judging yourself. And so maybe you need to overcome that. Maybe you need to get to know yourself better. And this was definitely the case for me. I feel like it's why I'm a little bit more comfortable making friends now, because I've grown in confidence and I'm a lot happier with myself. So it means that if I've got people around me, great. But if I don't, I also have so much more hope now that I will eventually attract the right people into my life. Stop trying so hard with someone because you want a friend. Stop trying to find people because you want to fill a void in your life. These are all things that are about you, and it's really difficult to develop a mutual relationship if everything is about you. I just feel like a real friendship can't really develop if you're putting crazy expectation on one person. It has to be natural, it has to be mutual, and I feel like that comes from genuine kindness and care for other people. This is what happens when you felt alone for a long time, or when you've had multiple experiences that haven't worked out. It's what you end up telling yourself. You're basically toughening up your exterior to try and protect yourself from hurt. And I definitely understand that because I've been there. I threw myself into my work and my career to try and hide from an uncomfortable truth that I just didn't have many friends around me. But that uncomfortable truth is actually okay. And the sooner you realize it, the sooner you can begin to make peace with the past experiences that have hurt you. I just feel like there's no way we can actually move on if we can't heal from the things that have hurt us. It's definitely easier to go into our shells and to hide ourselves from the world. It's a lot easier to think that, okay, I just don't want any friends anymore. Like, I don't need people in my life. I can just focus on myself. I definitely get that. But at the same time, that's not something that's going to help us feel less alone. And really, it's in the presence of others that we can really begin to appreciate and understand ourselves. I've made peace with the fact that friendships do come and go. I'm accepting that even now, this situation could change. And even though I do have more people in my life, I still do get days where I feel lonely and experience moments of anxiety. But I am proud of myself for being here, because this girl trip is a milestone for me.
Do you know what? I'm so happy that we've broken your girls' holiday virginity.
Yeah, I know.
It's a full circle moment that tells my 18-year-old self that it's okay, everything happens for a reason, and people will come along. You still haven't met all of the people who are going to love you. I'll be the first to admit it, I care about what other people think. I want to be liked, I want to be loved. I think all of us do. We're social creatures, we need human interaction, and we all want this sense of belonging in the world. And maybe it's a good thing that so many of us struggle with loneliness. Maybe it shows that all of us are looking for something deeper, something more meaningful. We're showing that even with all the technology in the world, what we want is what it means to be human. And because we all feel this way, it means it's very much possible.